I want to just start out by acknowledging that we're on the traditional territories of the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations. We have made a conscious effort over the last number of years to ensure that First Nations are true partners in the economy of British Columbia, never more important so than now as we engage in our new jobs strategy and look for expansion across the province, and particularly in rural BC. Really pleased to be here on behalf of our Premier, Christy Clark, as well. Christy asked me to take on the responsibility for jobs, tourism and innovation just over 6 months ago. And it has been a very, very exciting portfolio for me to tackle. It builds on some of the opportunities that I've had in the past working in different ministries like Minister of State for Mining, Agriculture and Lands and Forests. I was going to start out by acknowledging all of the MLAs in the room, but that would take up the full 15 minutes that I've been allotted if I was to do that. However, I do want to acknowledge both Kevin and Ida again for their tremendous support of the work that all of you do in the province. Kevin in his role as co-chair of the Small Business Roundtable, and Ida, of course, as a senior cabinet minister, but also someone who brings the CGA perspective to the table all the time. Ida actually carries some responsibility for my decision to enter the political world. I spoke to her by phone. She was the first elected official, actually, that I ever talked to when I was contemplating running for the nomination of the BC Liberal Party. I think it was late 99. No, it was early 99, maybe. 2000? Anyways, and Ida convinced me that by long distance that this was a good idea and something I should get involved in. And I don't regret it for a minute. It's been very exciting. I should also tell you that not only, as Bruce told you in my bio, I have been in the small business world for, I guess, 23 plus years now, but I also am served very, very ably for my accounting needs by a CGA. Someone who was your past president, Fred Punko. Ida, we were trying to figure out when that was, but in the mid to late 80s sometime, Fred was the president of the CGA Association, and I know served you very well and has served me very, very well for 23 years. And I do tell you that because there's some personal risk associated with that, in that my daughter has another professional designation that has only 2 letters in it, and she constantly reminds me that I should be moving my business in the direction of that particular element of the accounting profession. But I can tell you that I have been ably served by Fred, and I know that CGAs bring tremendous value to small business people across this province each and every day. The Diamond Anniversary is an exciting time to be celebrating for your 60th anniversary of your association, 10,000 members. That is truly a significant accomplishment and a testament to the value that you bring to small business British Columbians and large business British Columbians across this province. So it is an exciting time, and I think it's a particularly exciting time in the context of the new economic strategy or job strategy that we're employing and started rolling out a little over 2 weeks ago up in Prince Rupert. When the Premier asked me to take on this role, she did so by saying we need to really think about our future in this province and how we can take advantage of the Asia Pacific and what is going on in those markets. And it is remarkable when you travel to China, to India, to Korea, exactly what is going on in those markets. And it gives me real cause for optimism. And it does so on a couple of fronts. Firstly, because I look at the Australia experience. And the Australia experience is one that I think we can replicate and has delivered admirably throughout the first decade of the 21st century for the Australian economy and the people there in terms of translating into significant value and jobs. I'm not sure how many of you have kind of followed along the story of Australia and what's happened, but about 10 years ago, they made a conscious effort to pursue their economic opportunities, particularly with China and India. And they made a number of strategic moves. The first one that they did was they started asking themselves, what can we compete at better than anyone else in the world? What are the endeavors that we can pursue, the industrial activities that we can pursue that will create value and jobs for our citizens, and at the same time give us a competitive advantage in the international marketplace? The second question that they asked themselves was, given the context of our geographic location in the world, where should we be pursuing our greatest efforts? The conclusion that they came to was a core group of industrial endeavors or activities that they would pursue, depending on how you count them, about 8 or 10, perhaps 11, I suppose. And the markets that they decided to pursue were India and China in particular. So they charted a course of aggressive investment in those two marketplaces, of building big international offices and presences, of welcoming inbound investment from China and India into their jurisdiction. And the results over the past 10 years, I think, truly speak for themselves. In 2001, the average gross domestic product per citizen in Australia was $19,419. Not insignificant, but well below places like Switzerland at $35,800, or Canada at $23,000, other jurisdictions, a country, Sweden, $25,500. So they were still in the market, but they were not doing incredibly well relative to the rest of the planet or of developed nations. Just 10 years later, Australia built from $19,419 per citizen to $55,589 per citizen of gross domestic product. That translated into jobs, into meaningful employment, into tremendous opportunities for small business people as well as the large businesses of Australia. And they did that based on the core principles that we've embodied in our new job strategy, Canada Starts Here. This isn't rocket science. It is a proven formula. It's something that has worked over and over and requires a consistent, methodical approach to creating the right climate, the right hosting environment for business, but going out and marketing the heck out of them. And that's what's really different about the strategy. We've done a great job over the past 10 years creating the right environment or the right hosting environment for businesses, and we've marketed to a degree certain areas. And I will bring your attention to the plate that just splattered all over. Oh, sorry, no, Don Barnett's shirt. Bring your attention to the results that we've had in forestry. Forestry has been an incredibly challenging industry since the U.S. housing market collapsed in 2008, and even perhaps the year or so before that, it was starting to become more and more challenging. The U.S. went from building 2 million new housing starts per year down to 500,000 housing starts per year. Literally, the entire marketplace in the U.S., and we've all watched the meltdown, collapsed as it related to our primary industry, forestry. During that same period of time, the rest of the globe saw incredible challenges. So our forest industry dropped not quite in half during that period of time, as the United States has always been the host of about 70% of our lumber exports, the product that we move out of this country. Mike DeYoung in 2002, late 2002, early 2003, established a program in China, created a home in Shanghai called Dream Home Canada, started marketing our products more carefully, and really laid a good foundation for us. Rich Coleman in 2005, when he took over responsibility for the portfolio, continued to invest and build. And when I got there in 2008, I was very fortunate to be able to come at a time when a lot of the hard work had been done. And we all know how exponential graphs work. They start out very, very slow at the bottom, but they build very, very quickly as you get into more meaningful numbers. And I was able to take advantage of that. Although the graph has been exponential virtually since 2003, it was really in 2008 that we saw a significant shift. We went in 2006 from 1% of our total lumber exports in China to 2011, where we're going to see about 33 or 4% of our lumber exports into the Chinese marketplace. We have reopened 27 sawmills across this province, sawmills in people's ridings like John Rustad. They're going back to work, that are supporting families as a result of the forest industry, that have meaningful, high-paying union jobs that can create that long-term support structure. And that's been an incredible thing to witness. In Clearwater, the Vavenby mill just reopened about a month ago or so. And I can tell you, Terry Lake has been dancing on the clouds in Clearwater because of that community of 35,000 people. There's probably between loggers and mill workers, 300 or 400 people back at work. And that makes a huge difference. That's 10% of the population of that community. The Premier often talks about Princeton and the difference that that mine has made to those individuals. But forestry and the focus we brought to China in particular, to Asia in general, has paid off. And you know, when you look at the statistics, Right now, if you just open the newspaper, you would think that it was pretty much doom and gloom across Canada right now in terms of the overall market opportunities for our economies. BC is bucking the trend there, and this isn't in the media, and as frustrating as that can be for some of us at times. The numbers truly do speak for themselves. Through the first half of the year this year, BC's exports are up by 14% over 2010. Total exports up by 14%. Who would have guessed that, reading the headlines in the paper about the meltdown in the economy across this province, across North America, that BC would be bucking the trend, up 14%. So where did that come from? Well, Asia's up 29%. And has now exceeded the total value of exports that we move into the United States. In fact, Asia is now about 53 or 54% of our total exports. So the market opportunity exists. It's being driven by minerals, by energy products, by forestry products, by machinery, by technology, by all of those different elements and opportunities. But it is growing at an incredible rate. Hong Kong and China combined are up by 47%. South Korea is up by 45%. Taiwan by 40%. But even Japan's up by 11%. And I think that sends a very positive signal. So when you look at our new jobs strategy, it really brings into focus two core elements. The first is the need to move into the new market jurisdictions for our opportunities and capture as much value as we possibly can out of China, India, Korea, especially Japan also will be of key importance to us on an ongoing basis. And to that end, the Premier announced about a week and a half ago a doubling of our international presence in those jurisdictions. We have significant staff presences on the ground already. In China alone, we have over 60 full-time staff. In India, we only have a few staff. Germany, London, Korea, and Japan also have contingents. So you're going to see a significant increase that will help enable the opportunities associated with energy, with forestry, with mining, but also with things like international education and inbound foreign investment that are incredibly important from our perspective if we're going to grow our economy at the rate that we need to. We have a geographic location that is unmatched in North America in terms of getting our products to market. We have an incredible wealth of bright people, of entrepreneurial individuals, of small businesses who develop products and become export ready and start looking to those new markets. And when you put the magic of those two elements together, we have an opportunity that is unlike anyone else, I believe, in North America. I would not want to be standing in front of you if I was the minister responsible for jobs, tourism, and innovation in Ontario or Quebec right now. I think they are in for very, very challenging economic times in Eastern Canada. They have built their livelihood on the principles of manufacturing, on trying to keep people employed through those sorts of initiatives, and it is going to be very challenging for them to compete in the new world market, in a flat world, as Thomas Friedman says. So we need to think about how we capture those values. That really speaks to some of the initiatives that the Premier has announced in the past couple of weeks. $50 million investment in Prince Rupert, a very nominal investment, but one that will take that port from a capacity of about 18 million tons worth of goods per year to potentially 100 million tons worth of goods being able to be moved through that port in a single year. To put that in perspective, Vancouver currently moves about 120 million tons per year. So it will almost get Prince Rupert to kind of the size of Vancouver, and that's including all of the ports in Vancouver, the River Delta Port, North Vancouver, and Vancouver proper. So all of those different areas, and that's what we're going to need to move our goods to market, because there's a huge paradigm shift that's gone on. For years and decades, we shipped our goods from the west to the east. We're now shipping our goods from the west to the far west. So we need to find new ways of making sure we have that opportunity to move goods to market. I shared with you the numbers around our export statistics into Asia. One of the ones that I find very interesting is the number of containers that are now going back full into the Chinese market. Historically, of course, relatively small numbers, containers all going back pretty well empty. Now 80% of the containers that are leaving British Columbia are full of goods going into the Asian marketplace. Not so with the United States. If you look down in Washington, Oregon, and California, it's between 10 and 20% of their containers are now going back full. So the strategic advantage that we bring to the table here in terms of right entrepreneurs, in terms of being on the Asia Pacific, in terms of having tremendous wealth of natural resources, and having an incredible multicultural society with many individuals, Mandarin speaking, Punjabi speaking, the opportunities to really capture and tap into those markets is one that we need to embrace and make sure that we move forward. So in the coming months, you're going to be hearing strategic plans for each of the 8 sectors that we are focusing our efforts on, those being forestry, mining, natural gas, agri-foods, tourism and technology, along with ports, marine and aviation, and international education. We think those 8 sectors are well positioned for growth. They are the ones that will help support small businesses across this province that service and provide value to those individual businesses and become the exporters of tomorrow as a result of many of those efforts. So I'm excited about the new job strategy. I think it can do tremendous things for us. And if we execute effectively on it, it will deliver results far beyond anything that we can imagine. Just like when we looked at forestry 3 years ago and asked ourselves, how do we get out of this very, very challenging place that we are? We charted a course, we thought about what we wanted to accomplish, we set our minds to it, and we delivered it, and we were effective, and the forest industry today is back from it. And I believe that can happen right across the province. It is what we need to do if we're to be successful, if we're to buck the trend of the global economies that are taking place. It is about doing a great job on core assets, on core businesses, and just like the book Good to Great would tell you, the greatest companies in the world focus on the things that they can truly be great at and bring real value to. So thanks so much for having me here today. I look forward to your questions later on, and I think we are in for a very, very exciting decade. So hang on, make sure your businesses are prepared for it. It'll be a great time for everyone. Thank you.